Oh, hello, wonderhussie here. It's real early in the morning. It's real windy, and I'm real nervous. Why would I be nervous? You may be wondering. It's just another beautiful day in Death Valley, albeit a bit windy. Well, it just so happens to be the big day, the day of our fire department fundraiser. And, well, I invited a whole bunch of my viewers to come check it out. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a decent number of people here. But you never know. You know, I think I said this last time, but I'd feel like a real ding-a-ling if I showed up and there was like 3 people there to say hi to me. Fortunately, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be the case, because when we were over at the event site setting up last night, which you can see my vintage travel trailer isn't in its usual spot. We moved it with the help of our good friend Dan. Thank you, Dan. Down to the event site. So I set up a whole little Burning Man camp out there last night. And let me tell you something. It was not easy to move this trailer. I'm glad Dan helped me, because the leveling jacks were basically cemented into the ground because it hasn't been moved in, well, golly, over a year, because I didn't go to Burning Man this year. Anyway, Dan helped me get the trailer down there. We set everything up last night. And there were several people there to say hi to me. So fingers crossed, there's even more people this morning. But I have a pretty good feeling about it, because for one thing, we were already super lucky with the weather. Okay, I don't think it's actually as windy as I thought it was. We have all those dang wind chimes hanging up at the compound, and so it always sounds windier than it is, and that was one of our biggest concerns. You know, we spent all this time and energy setting this event up, and you just can't predict these desert winds. And so initially, you know, as the date got closer, we thought, oh gosh, it looks like it's going to be real windy. What are we going to do? Oh, all our tents are going to blow away, and well, hang on to your hats. Then the forecast changed, and it wasn't supposed to be windy, but it was supposed to rain. That's right, go figure. The one day a year it rains out here was supposed to be today, but I don't see any clouds in the sky, or well, there's a few over this way, but they're real wispy, and it's just enough to create some interesting texture. Okay, I guess I could go ahead and take my hat off. I didn't want my hair to get messed up in the wind, but I did go through all this trouble to wash and dry and curl it up all fancy. Why not? And golly, it looks like there's plenty of cars over here in the lot that's normally just full of old busted wrecks and hunks of junk. But there's all kinds of folks pulling in. Parking lot looks full. I'm gonna take it as a good sign. You know, you'd think this would get easier the more times I did it, but it never does. Why, look who it is. Desert Deb, y'all. What up, Deb?
We just got here. We're getting ready to set up.
Okay.
Hang out with Jeepsy.
I see you're repping Wandering Jeepsy today. Yeah, you're a good friend to her.
I am. I'm supporting her all the way.
Okay, well, we thank you for being here and supporting our fire department. We sure do appreciate you. It's been a minute, Deb. It's good to see you again. And who's this?
Outdoor Gypsy.
Outdoor Gypsy. You have a YouTube channel of your own?
Yep.
And what kind of content do you do?
Hiking, traveling.
Oh, okay. Where are you based out of?
Arizona.
Oh, okay. So we got some Arizona adventures.
Yeah.
Right on. Nice to meet you. Okay, wow. It looks like there's plenty of people here. I guess I didn't have to worry. And this event is fancy this year because we even got ourselves some porta potties. We've got a full parking lot full of vendors. And there's a stage back there where there's going to be a bunch of musicians playing. And I may or may not be making a special appearance up there myself. Oh, look, it's Vic Meyer from the Vic Meyer Show.
Well, hello, Miss
Hey,
Hussey.
Vic, what up? Good to see you here. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, what are you guys doing here?
Well, my brother is showing off his new invention, which is basically like a Ring doorbell that extends to the sky so that you can keep
It's a drone Ring doorbell?
Basically the same idea as a Ring doorbell. It's a drone that will lift up into the air and then give you a look at your property, or if you're away from home and there's a fire nearby,
wow.
or you live in an outlying community.
What do you call this, Eric?
Home drone security.
Home drone security. Oh, look at that. Wow, what a fun idea. And then you can yell at intruders on that speaker.
Well, and it's for overlanders as well. So if you're in your trailer and you're in a situation that you're not too sure of, You can launch that thing and see what's outside.
I love that, and I'm proud to have you guys as neighbors
Hey, wonderhussey.
at my exhibit. Oh, golly, look, there's all kind of people here waiting to say, hi! All right, I'll put my camera down, and I'll get to work. Okay, like I said, we were extraordinarily lucky with the weather. The wind died down, and it was a beautiful sunny day. In addition to vendors selling all kinds of interesting arts and crafts and food and drink, we also had non-stop entertainment on the stage. All kinds of performers from all over the place, including an awesome Elvis who really made the event interesting. Even after his stage act was over, he wandered around entertaining the crowd and keeping things fun. So big shout out to Van Graceland and to all of the wonderful performers who traveled out to our remote corner of the desert to share their talents. And another big shout out goes to my fellow YouTubers who came down and did their own meet and greets. Aside from Vic Meyer, we were also lucky enough to have Wandering Jeepsy showing off her old Jeep that she's selling, as well as Jenny Gives, and of course, Ross, the one-legged miner, who had driven his vintage military Jeep down to the event from his mines. And then there were also a few surprise guests. Mike Z showed up all the way from Hollywood. And my friend Dennis, the mayor of the Lake Tahoe Nude Beach, came down and volunteered his services for the event. Carlo and his nephew Weston from Villa Anita also came by with a couple of their bed and breakfast guests who had very generously brought a bottle of champagne and some orange juice so that we could enjoy mimosas. I really wish I had footage of Carlo and Weston swooping in with the champagne because talk about making an entrance. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to shoot any video of the event because once I got to my exhibit, there was already a line of people waiting to say hi to me, and it lasted all day long. I can't tell you how extraordinarily humbling it is to have a line of people waiting to give you a hug, and in many cases, a gift. It's a surreal experience. And the fact that some of these people came from as far away as Oregon, Colorado, Kansas, Iowa, Connecticut, the United Kingdom, and even Australia, it completely blew my mind. I must have given out hundreds of hugs as I stood there talking to people non-stop from the minute I got there at 10 a.m. till the line was cut off somewhere after 6 p.m. Over 8 solid hours of continuous smiling, laughing, chatting, and hugging. And of course, posing for lots and lots of photos. I met the nicest people and got the coolest gifts, and we collected lots of generous donations for the fire department. But towards the end of the day, I did have to take a break for a minute to get on stage for a special surprise performance. My friend Daryl, who you might remember from some of my kayaking adventures, had invited me to sing a duet with him. We rehearsed a few different songs, but ended up doing John Prine and Iris DeMent's In Spite of Ourselves. He's my baby, I don't mean maybe, never gonna let him go. In spite of ourselves. After making everyone's ears bleed, I got to hand out award plaques to all of our wonderful volunteer firefighters. Danny, Angie, Billy, and Larry. They were the whole reason we were doing this event to begin with, so it was important to give them the recognition they deserve. And then it was time for the after party over at Death Valley Brewing. Again, I was so busy meeting and talking to people that I didn't have time to shoot any footage or take any photos of my own, which was a real bummer because that was one of the wildest parties I've ever been to. Dan, the brewmeister, said he sold more beer that day than he did in his entire 10 years of operation. It was nuts! But as much as I would have liked to stay up and dance all night, I was completely wiped out, and I knew we had to get up the next morning and start cleaning up. beginning with opening all the amazing gifts people had given my sister and me.
I feel like maybe Mike Z brought that.
No, I think I know the guy who put that. It was better than Christmas morning. We got some really amazing stuff. But the best gift of all was having friends who could help me bring my vintage travel trailer back over to the compound and park it in its place. I could have done it myself, but I was totally worn out and it would have taken me 10 times as long. So Scott, who incidentally was very offended when I called him Boozer Scott a couple weeks ago, so I'd better apologize for that now, and our friend Dan were both huge helps with getting my trailer squared away. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome, Sarah.
Dan, I sure thank you for your help with all of this. You are a true friend.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Did you have a good time yesterday?
I did. I came up here especially for this because I knew you needed some help, and you and Eliza, and it worked out good, and they made a lot of good money, and do it again next year.
I look forward to it.
All righty. Mwah.
And after we finally got everything put away and cleaned up, we were all pretty wiped out. But it was a good kind of tired because we knew all our work had been for a good cause. And now it was time to count up the money and see how much we'd made for our fire department. Man, I am exhausted. Did I mention I stood in one place talking to people nonstop for over 8 hours? Okay, that's not the only reason I'm out of breath. I'm also out of breath because I decided to come up here to the old rugged cross because it seems like a good place to reflect on things. And incidentally, speaking of the old rugged cross, I suppose I should mention that the person I was ranting about in my last video, you know, the lady who sent me that chidey note about not throwing Bibles in the trash, well, guess what? She actually did see my rant, and she did email me to apologize, I guess. Come to find out, it was just a misunderstanding. She didn't actually watch the video, her husband did, and, well, apparently he forgot to clean his glasses that day, so all is well. Ain't nobody mad at anybody anymore. Ain't nothing but peace, love, and understanding out here on the edge of Death Valley. That's right. Peace and quiet have returned once again to our tiny little community on the fringe of civilization. In fact, you can see right down there, that's where we just had the event the other day, and, well, looks like they pretty much cleaned the whole thing up, and it's like it never happened. Tell that to my barking dogs and aching back, and oh my gosh, that event was a lot of fun, but it was a doozy. My sister and I are both completely annihilated. Yeah, sure, I was the one who stood there shaking hands and giving hugs and talking to people all day long, but my sister was there too, and it wasn't just the day of the event for her. She actually spent the previous 2 months leading up to the event getting ready for it with a whole crew of other volunteers in town. But my sister really put in a lot of work, and I know it really stressed her out and wore her out, and she didn't want me to mention this, but she actually broke out in hives the night before the event. She was so stressed out about it that her whole body broke out in hives. Her whole face was puffy. I was afraid she wasn't even going to be able to make the event. But somehow she rallied. I got up the morning of the event and I looked out the window to see if her light was on, and I thought, oh gosh, maybe she's just going to call in sick. But no, she didn't. She slapped on her makeup and she went down and stood right by my side the entire day, helping me out and posing for pictures herself. Okay, she likes to stay on the other side of the camera, but there was a lot of folks there who wanted to meet her and get photos with her, and she's so good-natured that she agreed. Oh gosh, I shouldn't be slapping my poor sore knees like that. I'm not kidding, man. I feel like I was run over by about 10 dump trucks full of bowling balls. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't remember being that tired after our past 2 events. You know, this is the 3rd time we've done it, and something about this one in particular really knocked me for a loop. But I feel pretty good because we managed to raise over $15,000 for our volunteer fire department. That's right, our volunteer firefighters who operate out of basically a shipping container right down there. You can see the fire trucks parked in front of it. We raised over $15,000 towards building them a new firehouse, among all the myriad other things they need, because it's not just a firehouse they need. They also need new turnout gear. They need equipment. They need to have the vehicles maintained. I mean, these trucks are sitting out here in the blazing desert sun all day, every day. And, well, if you've ever lived in the desert, you know how rough that can be on vehicles. So it was all worth it. My aching back, my aching legs, my exhaustion. Okay, I say I stood in the same place for 8.5 hours, but that's not entirely true. I actually did take 2 tinkle breaks. Fortunately for me, the porta potty was pretty much right around the corner from my exhibit, so I was able to go to the bathroom twice. And, well, I was going to say I didn't eat anything all day, even though a very generous volunteer brought me a plate of barbecue, and another very generous viewer brought me a date shake. Well, I didn't have time to eat anything because I was talking to people the entire day nonstop. The only thing I ate all day was a fortune cookie. I ate 1 fortune cookie, and then thankfully Carlo brought over those mimosas. I mean, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have eaten anything at all. I really wish I could have gotten video. When Carlo and Weston and his guests came, they just stormed into my exhibit with a big bouquet of flowers and a bottle of champagne, and they were all dressed to the nines. And when I say to the nines, well, they were dressed to the nines in the way that only Carlo and Weston can dress to the nines. It was really frustrating for me that I wasn't able to shoot any video of any of this, but there was just no way to do it. You know, I was busy talking to people, and my sister was busy helping me, and well, I guess next time I should make sure to have like a dedicated photographer and videographer on site. You know, it would have been nice to have somebody just roaming around, talking to folks, interviewing them, you know, just sort of covering the event for me because I couldn't do it. So, yeah, next year I feel like we need to have somebody on deck just shooting videos. Although, even talking about next year or next time just makes me so tired. I mean, right now, the way my sister and I feel, it's like we could never do this again. Not if we got to sleep for 1,000,000 years. But of course, that's just the way we feel right now. I'm sure probably realistically in a few days, we'll be rested and we'll feel better. And we'll actually already be looking forward to the next event, which actually I think we kind of already are starting to plan the next one. It's going to be in the spring. So mark your calendars if you didn't get to come to this one. We're going to do another event in the spring, I think, and it'll be another flea market, okay? That's what we did last spring over by the brewery, and it was a great success. It was an amazing flea market, so I can't believe I'm even saying this, but get ready because we're going to do it again. But for now, we're just trying to get some rest and sort of take stock of things and sort of try and figure out how we could improve the experience next time. Okay, yeah, it was a blast and everyone seemed like they had a lot of fun, but golly, some of the folks waited in line to see me for almost 3 hours, and I felt really bad about that, but I really don't know what I could do differently. I mean, you know, I did have some people suggest that, oh, I should have like a timer or a buzzer or something, but I mean, really? I'm supposed to cut somebody off right in the middle of, you know, people told me some very personal and frankly heartfelt stories, emotional stories, and what am I going to do? Go, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, your time's up. You're going to have to leave. It's the next person's turn. It's very awkward because, you know, then I would look out of the line and I would see that there were some folks who had been standing in the sun for quite some time, and I felt bad for them, and I don't know how. I was thinking about like Bob Wells. If you ever watch Cheap RV Living, Bob Wells, the guy who looks like Santa Claus, helps people build out their vans to live in. He has that big event every year in Quartzsite, the RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. And oh my God, my event is piddly compared to that. And I don't know how Bob Wells does it at that event. I mean, he must be absolutely mobbed. So I don't know if you have any ideas of how I might better handle crowd control at our next event. I'm all ears. Please leave your suggestions in the comments or email me. Oh my God, look how beautiful this sunset is. Oh my God, this view never gets old. Or at least it doesn't to me. You know, the only thing that could be better about this view is if that bathtub right there was full of piping hot water. I would love nothing more than to slip my weary bones into a nice hot bath right now. And can you imagine taking a bath right here? You know, right here on the edge of this amazing desert, maybe with a nice steaming mug of hot cocoa or a mimosa. Oh, sounds tempting. Unfortunately, we don't have this thing plumbed or figured out yet, so no bath for me. And I'm not gonna have time to lay around in a bathtub anyway. We have so much unpacking to do. You know what I mean? We still have to unpack all these costume weapons our friend Widget brought us. Okay, this is all more props from that movie that Terry Garr was in, the Mom and Dad Save the World. You know, I have that awesome dress she wore in that movie. And, well, it's especially poignant now because she just passed away. That's right, beautiful Terry Garr unfortunately passed away, I think last week, of complications of MS. She suffered from MS for quite some time, but she remained an inspiring beauty until the very end. And I'm happy and proud to wear that dress she wore in this movie. And now we have a whole bunch more costumes and props from that same movie. I guess Widget just bought the entire lot and he's bringing it out here to us one box at a time. And meanwhile, I still have all these gifts I gotta open. I mean, I got so many presents from people who came to see me at the meet and greet. Bags and boxes full. I have to go through everything and thank everybody for all this amazing stuff. I mean, look at this. These guys want me to do Route 66 with them. In 2026, that's going to be the 100th anniversary? Oh gosh, I already forget. It's some big anniversary of Route 66, and they want to do like a kind of like a caravan, a convergence of a bunch of vehicles convoying all the way from Chicago to Santa Monica along the entire path of Route 66. So I'm very tempted to join them on that. But first, well, I've got a few other things to take care of. Oh, look at this. This is super cool. Okay, when I was on stage handing out all those plaques to our volunteer firefighters, well, I handed out one to Larry, and I handed out one to Danny, and I handed out one to Angie, and I handed out one to Billy, and then there was one more plaque. And I thought, well, who else is on the volunteer fire department? And then I read it, and look at this! It says, to wonderhussie, honorary firefighter, for her generous support of SIFPD and our community. How about that? I'm an honorary firefighter. I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of choked up when I read my name on this. That was really nice of you guys, and I definitely don't feel qualified because compared to what these other folks do, me standing in a tent for 8 hours shaking hands and receiving gifts really doesn't seem like much at all. But that being said, I'm extremely honored to display this plaque in my office along with my other certificates of recognition. Let's see, I've got one. Oh, one time I performed in the Big Elvis show back in 2005. Another time I was on American Idol. Another time I ran the Las Vegas Marathon. Then another time I climbed all the way to the top of the stratosphere. But none of those hold a candle to being an honorary firefighter in the SIFPD. And actually, speaking of the SIFPD, well, they're about to have a meeting down at the community center to sort of rehash the event and discuss how it went. And I think we should go down there and thank them in person. Okay, we're having sort of a post-mortem meeting at the community center tonight. And it looks like all the members of the volunteer fire department are here, including, oh look, there's Ross. And I already kind of discussed it with the fire department. And they said it would be okay to film them, but they're awful nervous about it. You know, they're not used to being on camera, and you know, they decided they wanted to wear their firefighting uniforms, and well, some of them were a little concerned that their firefighting uniforms were dirty from wearing them at the event and they might smell bad, but I told them, don't be silly, guys. This isn't smell-o-vision. Okay, let's put them out of their misery. Oh, look at that. They're all lined up waiting for us. Hey, guys, I just wanted to say thank you. We have all the firefighters and we have all these beautiful volunteers, you know, busting their humps, making beer, serving barbecue, prancing around on a fake leg.
It's a real leg, goddammit.
Okay, well, listen, thank you to all of you, and I guess you guys wanted to say something to everybody who's watching.
Everybody needs to show up.
Yay! We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Finally, my comfy, cozy bed. Oh, I feel like I could sleep for at least 12 hours. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, our post-mortem meeting went well. We discussed the things that we felt we did right, and we discussed the things we felt could use some improvement for next time. But overall, we all agreed that we did a great job, and the event went really well. I mean, we raised almost $16,000 for the fire department, which is pretty impressive, and we couldn't have done any of it without you. And that's why the fire department and the volunteer team who put the event together wanted me to shoot that group photo of them all saying thank you, because they really didn't get the chance to express their thanks fully. And in fact, the team lead, who was kind of the leader organizing the whole event from start to finish, a wonderful woman named Robin, wrote up a little thank you that she wanted me to read to all of you to express her and all of our extreme and sincere gratitude. So here goes. Here's what she wrote. From the volunteer first responder team and the fundraising volunteer team at the Southern Inyo Fire Protection District, we thank the wonderhussie team of both fans and creators for making TecopaFest 2024 a huge success. We raised about $16,000 this weekend, and we couldn't have done it without your support. Sarah Jane, that's me, Eliza, that's my sister, and all of you have taken our annual event to the next level and helped us realize a long-held dream. We hope to see you all back in Tecopa soon. Only, hopefully not too soon. I mean, at least give me 12 hours, 14 hours, maybe even 48 hours to just sleep and recover.